how do I pivot? How do I quickly learn something else that I've been working on for 20 years? How do I know more and more and more and more and more and more? And the truth is, we realize we can't. Welcome to Executive Coaching in the AI Era, the place where you get real, no fluff, proven processes for navigating the chaotic, ever-changing corporate world. I'm Stacy Mayer, executive coach, promotion strategist, and best-selling author. For the past decade, I've been helping senior leaders like you make the intangible process of getting to the leadership table tangible, even during layoffs, economic downturns, and AI disruption. Let's go. Hello, corporate badasses. Welcome to another episode of Executive Coaching in the AI Era. I am your host, Stacy Mayer, and super excited, as always, to be here with you again this week. Today's episode is number 321. I wanted to take a minute before I got into the topic of today's episode to just really let that sink in. So I've been doing this series on executive coaching in the AI area for the past couple of weeks only, and it can feel like sometimes these topics are new, but really this work has been floating around and sitting and being explored and being dived into and being experimented with and being tested on real women in executive leadership for the past 6 years, all the way up to episode number 321. And I want to take a moment to congratulate myself and to congratulate you as a listener. I have many listeners that have been listening to this podcast actually with me in real time since episode 1. I have listeners who have found me recently and gone back to the earlier episodes and started binge listening to them over the years, and people who just kind of pop in and listen to one episode every now and then. So wherever you're at in your journey, listening to this podcast, but more importantly, applying the work of executive leadership, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to myself for continuing on this pathway, and also to note that the work that I'm doing with this podcast didn't just come from me. It's come from many, many, many leaders and who have paved the path before me. And that reminds me that it's actually the day after the celebration of Juneteenth in the United States, and that does not go without saying. And there is one woman in particular that comes to mind whenever I think of Juneteenth, not just because of her powerful executive leadership and example that she sets for so many women in executive leadership and her amazing giving capacity. And she just always seems to be, she's like that person that is no BS, she just cuts right through and says what needs to be said and is so kind and so giving and so strong and so powerful. But a couple of years ago, it was probably about a week or so before Juneteenth, and she made an announcement that I will never, ever, ever forget. She said that actually, I don't even think it was a couple weeks before. I think it was like 2 months before Juneteenth. And she made this announcement that on Juneteenth, she was going to begin to make this huge life career transition for herself. And she used that date as an anchor, as this opportunity to say, hey, I am not going to do this alone. I'm going to stand on the backs of giants, people who have paved the path before me, and I'm going to choose that date selectively so that I can have more, make my life easier, honestly. Because when we don't try to do everything alone, all by ourselves, we suddenly realize that there is so much support, love, grace, welcoming out there in the world to be had. And it's not even necessarily from an individual who's still alive today. It might not be from a person that you actually know, but from the people who have opened the doors for us and set our paths in motion over many, 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 many years. So I want to celebrate this Juneteenth with so much love and support for all of the executive leaders who are really trying to pave that path for future generations and are willing to kind of say, hey, I'm not in this alone. Now on to today's episode. As you may or may not have heard from me before, inside of the Leadership Table Mastermind, each week in our group calls, I draw an oracle card for each of the women in the group. Each of them receive an oracle deck, and then I guide them through a question, a contemplative question. And essentially, the goal of these oracle cards is to begin to develop trust within ourselves. Because when you're asking an oracle card for guidance, you're essentially asking yourself, you're asking your inner wisdom, what do I need to hear? What do I need to know? And this past week, I asked the question, what do I need to trust in today? What do I need to know today and really trust about myself or the process or the journey that I am in today, specifically today? A lot of times the words that will come up for my clients is letting go, or quite literally, one of the women drew the word trust, which always reminds me that this is truly a magical moment to have a full oracle card deck to say the word trust and then actually draw the word trust. I guess you better start trusting is the message there. But when so many women are receiving the concept, the idea that we should trust ourselves enough to let go, it's really an interesting opportunity to say, what does that mean? And I want to tie this in specifically to the AI era because there is so much distrust happening for every person that I know, including myself, quite simply because we can't even trust our own opinions. You can see something, you say, oh, I like that. I like that thing. And then we find out it was generated by AI, and suddenly we don't like that thing anymore. Like think about music. I have a cousin that said, he found this new group that he was listening to a lot, and then he found out that they were AI, completely 150% AI. And he was like, oh, well, I guess I still like the music, but it really shifts my perception and my belief. There is so much distrust happening right now. And there is one particular thread that I want to pull on as part of this trust factor. Like, I really want to kind of think about this life that you're building, this career that you're building, before the AI era, during the AI era, and beyond the AI era. And this idea of letting go is not new, right? And it can feel incredibly vulnerable, especially in a time of the AI era. Because for me personally, and for a lot of my clients, so much is being thrown at us and so much change is happening all at once that even if we were good at change, even if we were good in chaos, navigating the chaos can feel just like a little bit too much. So different than what we had ever navigated before. But there are some truths, some things, some that have been around for centuries, some concepts that are even beyond the AI era that are still available to us to kind of lean on. So, for instance, this idea of letting go as a Buddhist practice of reaching enlightenment has been around for centuries. And we have experienced this when we finally don't give a shit anymore. Things start to happen for us. When things are moving faster than the speed of light around us, it's really, really difficult to let go and to sort of say, oh, I'm going to take a step back for a minute. I'm going to, take the bigger view. I'm going to try and stop caring about that promotion or stop caring about finding a new job. I'm just going to go with the flow because the truth is, organizations are imploding at our feet. And if we do that, we might die. Quite literally, it feels like it, right? It can feel that heavy. And so there's this sentence that I wrote, I guess it was probably a month or so ago when I was thinking about the life that I want to live. Like when I was thinking about my own personal goals for my business and how my goals are a little bit more focused on living in the magic, leaning into the current of my career, being willing to walk through the doors that open up to me without trying to force or put a hammer on those doors. I've been thinking a lot about what this could mean. this idea came up to me, and I wrote it down, and I wrote down, I want to live a life built on not knowing versus trying to know it all. And the reason that this came up is because you can't, the knowing part, trying to know it all, is taking that hammer to the door and just saying, I'm going to work harder. I'm going to figure out AI. I'm going to figure out everything that's happening around me. I'm going to control my layoff. I'm going to control this organization. I'm going to go get a job and, make a huge amount of money. I'm going to quit this job and take a sabbatical for a year. Like, all of that is, the initial result, the initial clinginess, the tightness is based on trying to know it all, trying to have all the answers. And in reality, we've been trying to know it all our entire career, right? Our entire lives. School is set up that way, to know it all, to have the answers. And then in the beginning of every single person who listens to my podcast career, we all started out as subject matter experts. We went to school for something. We graduated for that, and then we were good at that. And so for the first 10, 20 years of our career, we were good at something. We were this subject matter expert. And a lot of our subject matter expertise is being replaced by AI. So, okay, well, how do I pivot? How do I quickly learn something else that I've been working on for 20 years? How do I know more and more and more and more and more and more? And the truth is, we realize we can't. We can't compete. We can't know everything. And we certainly can't race time against a machine. We can't be faster, and we can't have all the knowledge that is out there. We can't become suddenly overnight the subject matter expert on something new that we have been working at for 20 years. So what do we have left? The only thing that we have left is not knowing. The willingness to not know, the willingness to build a life on not knowing, the willingness to say, I have an instinct. I drew an oracle card and it said trust, so I'm just going to trust. I'm going to trust that I am on this path. And now I want to add this caveat to this concept of letting go and not knowing, and what I have personally learned through, I've been doing my own personal Buddhist meditation practice for almost 15 years now, from the first moment that I walked into the meditation center in Berkeley, California. Actually, I originally found this particular meditation center when I was working at a hedge fund in New York City. They had it as part of our wellness program. Thank God. It completely changed the trajectory of my life. And I've been working on this idea, this concept of not knowing. How do I live a powerful, really beyond powerful life of not knowing? And truthfully, the more that I embrace the not knowing versus the trying to know it all, I have a more beautiful life. Quite honestly, it creates more and more abundance. I have a concept that I talk about in the Leadership Table Mastermind called authentic power. Our authenticity, our true state of knowing, of being, of loving, of power is so powerful when we can really lean into the not knowing, but say, hey, I'm ready for more. I'm not going to sit back and let go and be like, all right, screw it. Whatever happens, happens. That is not the life that we're living, especially as high achievers. You can't keep going that way. My goal for myself, I'm a high achiever. I have 15, 20 years of my career left. I am ready to go, right? I have so much work that I want to do in this world. But if I try and do it through trying to know it all, I'm never going to accomplish anything. I'm always going to be 3 steps behind. So my work is about leaning into the not knowing, especially in the AI era. If you can begin to accept, okay, I'm just going to let the computer know these things, right? I'm going to let the computer do my old job. So many of you are being told that you just need to let AI run your entire job description. Then what? And maybe you haven't been laid off, but you still have a job, but you're sort of like, well, what the heck do I do? Well, you certainly can't figure out how to know it all. So instead, lean into the not knowing and start to find other opportunities. The best way is always in conversation, through ally meetings, beginning to build conversations with other people, figure out, use your own brain and thought process to expand into that idea of not knowing and start again and create something new and fresh, but it can be instantaneously so much more powerful than anything you have ever done in your entire life. All right, my friends, this is such an important episode, and I really hope that you let this soak in. I hope you understand that you are not alone, that your everything that you do every single day is built on the shoulders of so many other powerful, amazingly, authentically powerful leaders that have gone before you. You are a corporate badass. You deserve to be here. You do not need to know anything else to have success in your career, but you can begin to let things go, to have the willingness to not know it all. Thank you all so much for listening, and I'll see you next week. Bye. Before you go, if you have not yet subscribed to this podcast, do so now. If you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, go there at stacymayer.com/YouTube and subscribe today. And if you know a colleague, a friend, anyone who needs to hear this message, share this information with them now. Post it to your LinkedIn profile. We are navigating this AI era together, and I am thrilled to help you on this journey. If you want to work with me personally, I invite you to schedule a call with me at stacymayer.com/discovery, where we will map out a career strategy specifically tailored to you. Whether you've recently been laid off or you're just looking to navigate this chaotic landscape and you no longer want to do it alone, go to stacymayer.com/discovery and schedule your free call today.